Then we can turn to page 1258. 1258. Here again, there was a conversation from the respondent that was deleted, but the complainant managed to reply to that at 1933. The message was, "And long Tom is okay for you?" And she replied with, "Of course." And the respondent followed that up with the three emojis licking the lips.
In that instance, Chair, the three emojis licking the lips is emphasis, and it would mean in this context desire, attractiveness.
And then on the next page, 1259, at 1940, there's a message from the respondent. Here the complainant was booked off sick. So they were talking about how she needs to heal. And the respondent said here at 1940, "I must come and give you a boost." And then there's a syringe with a drop. It looks like blood because it's red in the syringe. How do you interpret that message?
Chair, the syringe can appear differently. On Apple devices, it appears empty with no liquid. On Samsung devices, it appears with a liquid in it. Sometimes the liquid is blue, sometimes it is red. In this instance, taking into account the conversation and the context specifically, it doesn't represent the standard function of the syringe which we use within the medical context. It means here it has sexual connotations and it means penis within this context. This, Chair, correlates with "I must come and give you a boost," taking into account the context.
Advocate Skippers, I'm not sure. Where are we now?
1259.
1259.
The third message from the bottom.
From the bottom.
At 1940.
1940.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I see that. Yes.
Should I repeat it, Chair?
Please, if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay, so taking into account the context, I first said, Chair, that the syringe is depicted differently on the Apple device. There's no liquid in it. On the Samsung devices, it has liquid as we see it now in front of us on the text chain. The second thing is that in this context, taking into account the conversation and the text that says there, "I must come and give you a boost," it wasn't purely as we would see the standard function of it as an injection, perhaps, in the medical context. Here, it's taken as having sexual connotations and referring specifically to mean the penis.
Just a minute. Would it be convenient to stop at this time for lunch?
We can?
Yes. Yes. Let us come back. So we'll come back at 1:45. Thank you. Advocate Skippers.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just struggling to share now again. I was disconnected. Thank you, Chair. We can then continue. We were last on page 1259, but I want you to move now, turn to page 1263C. Chair. 1263C. It's on the 3rd of October 2021. Thank you. Yeah, there's a status that the complainant uploaded on her WhatsApp status. And the picture here is not clear, but she testified that it was a plate of food that she uploaded, that she cooked that night. And here the respondent replied to that status of hers at 17:45, again with a licking emoji. How do you translate that emoji in this context?
Chair, in this context, as I said earlier, the previous context where the licking of the lips emoji was used was to show desire, want, and attractiveness. In this instance, because it's referring to food, it obviously has a different meaning. It refers to something being delicious.
So if we look at the way the emoji was used previously, and I made a note, it was on 3 separate occasions previously that this emoji was used, and now it's used in connection with food. Can you interpret for this emoji by using the standard interpretation?
No, because the interpretation differs. So that goes to what I was saying earlier, that some of the emojis cannot just be understood as a standard use, Chair.
Just a minute, Advocate Skippers. On page 1263,
C.
C. You see the pictures I have?
It's the top one. It's the one on top.
Oh, this one here. The thing is, there's black and white. The set of pictures I have are black and white, and sometimes it's difficult to pick up anything. But anyway, I see it now. After much search. Here we go. All right, thanks.
Then the complainant replied to that with a hug emoji.
In that instance, Chair, it's a standard hug emoji. It shows warmness through a hug. In response to the respondent's emoji previously showing that the food would be delicious.
And if we have the translation of the next message from the respondent, it was translated to us to say, "How I wish I can eat that plate, ma'am." Does that correlate with the interpretation of that licking emoji?
That would correlate to show it would be delicious.
Then we can move to page 1273. That is on 23 December 2021.
1273.
73. Here there's a reply to the complainant's status on 23 December 2021 at 16:56. There's an emoji wearing sunglasses by the respondent.
In that instance, Chair, this emoji has different interpretations. We know one just to depict and represent that you might be wearing sunglasses, that the sun might be in your eyes, but within the context of this text chain and the conversation between the respondent and the complainant, it means a cool, carefree attitude.
Then on the next page, 1274, the respondent replied to a conversation at 2027 with pervy eyes again. How do you interpret that?
Based on the text chain, it's a standard thing, understanding and meaning, Chair, of pervy eyes in response to a status.
Just to give you context, the complainant testified, if you go to the previous page on 1273, the respondent replied to the status of the complainant at 1905 to ask who is this, and the complainant testified that that was a picture that she uploaded of herself depicting a new tattoo that she got on her back. So the conversation was with regards to that, and then it ended with the pervy eyes from the respondent. How do you interpret that?
That would correlate then, Chair, based on the context of the text chain as well, to say that the response using the pervy eyes was to depict the actual pervy eyes, which is a standard use, desire.
And then the last emoji that I want you to comment on is on the next page on 1275. There's a response from the complainant at 2008. It looks like a confused face emoji. I don't know how you describe that.
That is exactly it, Chair. It's a confused emoji. It's also used to express tiredness, confusion.
Now, if we look at the conversations that you were privy of seeing, we don't have all the conversation because we know that a number of conversations was deleted previously. If you look at the screenshots you have here, you can see that there's a number of messages that was deleted. The automatic response that the complainant used, that laughing face emoji, the hysterical laughter, what would you comment on that, and maybe in the international context, how the use of that emoji is done?
When you look at the laughing face emoji, Chair, with the tears of joy, as we've discussed throughout the text chain, as I indicated based on my analysis, it became an automated response from the complainant. She used it either as an automatic response or to laugh off or to make the conversation lighter based on what the respondent was sending her. In 2015, Chair, globally, the crying face emoji, that hysterical laughing emoji with the tears of joy, was the most used emoji globally. Since then, that trend has continued, and that's also based on the international literature. When we look at senior scholars within the field of interpreting emojis from an international perspective, such as Jonathan Abel as well, he also talks to this point, as well as Nick Kendall, a creator of an emoji app, who said that the laughing face emoji is now just used as an automatic response by many people and might have different meanings and understandings.
Then I want to refer you.
What do you mean by saying they may have different meanings?
It might be used in a joking manner, as we see. So there's standard joking, I'm just laughing hysterically, rolling on the floor. Or it might be used, as we saw in the context, where you're trying to change the nature of the conversation or the direction of the conversation and laugh things off. So there is overlap in that sense, Chair, but used in slightly different way, as we saw with the complainant.
So we can't make a global statement to categorize a series of laughing emojis. You can't say because there's 20 there's a series of 6-8 laughing emojis, the meaning thereof is therefore this.
Yeah, so as I said, Chair, it would be context specific. So this is why context is so important when we interpret the use of the emojis. We need to look specifically at what was happening within the specific text chain to understand the response, or attempt to understand the response with that laughing face, tears of joy emoji.
But you can also just tell by reading one message and one laughing emoji in response to one message.
That is correct as well, Chair.
So one can't globalize, make a global statement and say, if you see a series of 20 laughing emojis, therefore they tend to mean this because it's a series of them.
Yes, of course, Chair, that is correct. That's why you need to look at it and assess the emojis within the specific context of the analysis.
Yeah, thank
you. Excuse me. Then you testified about this eggplant emoji that was used, and that the direct meaning is vegetable, but it is often used in another with another meaning. For instance, and you testified in this instance it was used in a sexual nature. What does the international scholars say about that?
That is correct, Chair. As I explained, that within this specific context, the eggplant emoji was used to depict the penis, and the peach emoji was used to depict the vagina. When we look at scholars such as Lucas Wilde, Christina Siver, and Jonathan Abel, again, all international scholars, the term that they use and the phrase is that the peach emoji and the eggplant emoji are now being used for sexual purposes.
Was there at a stage that because of the misuse, if I can quote it like that, of for instance, the eggplant emoji, that on some of the social platforms, that something happened to that?
Yes, on Facebook, at one stage, the eggplant emoji was banned, so it was unavailable for use because of the sexual connotations that was associated with the eggplant emoji, Chair, and how it was being used. Facebook didn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable, so they removed the use of the actual eggplant emoji.
Do you know of any case law where emojis have been interpreted before?
There are a number of cases, Chair, within the international context specifically. If we look at the American context and if we look at the New Zealand context, there are instances where the tongue out emoji, which we saw from the text chain, was used, specifically the tongue out emoji with the one closed eye and the one open eye. In those cases, however, different to our context, Chair, the courts in those instances interpreted it to mean an insult. And there was an insult that was made, and then it was followed by that specific tongue out emoji. And the court said, because you're using that emoji and it looks playful because the one eye is closed, doesn't mean that it detracts from the insult. But in this instance, we can clearly establish that the tongue out emoji was not used to insult either party, and that it was purely used as playful.
And the reason why you say that, can you explain to us? Can you see that in just looking at that emoji by itself, or how must you look at it?
No, you have to look, Chair, within the specific context. And that is what the court in those instances reaffirmed, that context was key when interpreting the emojis.
In the messages that you were privy of seeing, did the complainant at any stage use the pervy eyes emoji?
No, she did not.
Did she at any stage use the red heart emoji?
No, she did not, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I think that concludes my questioning of this witness.